Hey guys, Second with the video for you guys. In today's video, we're going to be comparing the iPhone 12 with the 12 Pro, and I'm tell you guys everything that you need to know, whether you're choosing between the regular 12 or the 12 Pro, and that price point and what makes sense to buy. Whether you're looking to get the 12 or the 12 Pro, does it really make sense to spend that extra $200 or not? But before we dive into today's video, if you guys are new to our channel, we do a lot of tech news, reviews, and giveaways, so make sure that like and subscribe button. Also, if you guys are in the market for a phenomenal device like the one you see here, make sure you guys check out the links in the description section. So let's go ahead and get started between these two phones. There's actually a lot of similarities between these two phones, and just because it's the Pro model and the regular model doesn't mean that you should be expending that extra $200. And the reason why we're going to discuss a little bit further. But let's first talk about these two phones. Both of the phones were actually released almost a year from the time we're recording this video. It was released in 2020, and right now the 13 is slated to come out in a week or two. So we're going to see the 13 come out, and that's going to be probably where we're going to make that in a call for between these two phones. The one thing you'll notice between these two phones is that there are same size bodied phone. Both of them have that 6.1 OLED Super Retina XDR display. It's a very bright display, although when it comes to brightness, the 12 Pro does have slightly better contrast and resolution to it. Very small, subtle contrast and brightness difference, slightly better, but between it, it's pretty much negligible if you're really holding it and side by side to a regular naked eye. Other thing to note between these two phones is that both of the phones does come with the A14 Bionic chip, and we saw that chip Apple claims to be the fastest chip on any smart device. Is it the fastest chip? Well, to our surprise, it is. And it does perform really well. Other similarities between these two phones, it's going to be that both of the phones both have front and back being glass. They do have this front ceramic shield, which is supposed to be 4 times stronger than the previous generation of a model. They also have the same size battery, a 2815 mAh battery between these two phones, which means that both of the phones give you about 17 hours of video playback. Whether you're watching shows, movies, or just watching YouTube, you're gonna get around that much of watch time. And regular usage, if you're using it on a full single charge, you can pretty much go throughout the whole day. If you're just slightly using it for calling, texting, messaging, it's going to get you through pretty much the whole day without any issues. Even if you're just browsing, using an app here and there, both of the phones will get you through most of your day. Other similarities between these two phones come in that both of the phones actually have a lot going on when it comes to the actual performance. Because of that A14 Bionic chip, we see some of the metrics that we have done so far, pretty much similar performance and much more. And now let's talk about some of the differences when it comes to both of these two phones. One big difference between these two phones is that the finish of it. So between these phones, it might look like the same, but actually the 12 here is made out of aluminum finish, where the 12 Pro comes with stainless steel body, slightly durable and stronger, but to a regular user, again, it's not something you probably would really care about. Other thing to note is, as we mentioned, both of the phones does perform exceptionally well when it comes to everyday usage, and they're running A14 Bionic chip. Is that between these two phones, the iPhone 12 here, the Pro here, has 6 gig of RAM versus 4 gig on the regular 12 model. So when you're doing heavy graphic gaming, especially if you're a gamer, light game, you won't notice any difference. But if you're playing games like PUBG, Call of Duty, you're probably gonna notice that subtle difference of RAM that you don't get. That 2 gig of RAM can make a big difference, especially when you're playing games that are meant to play on the gaming console. Let's move on to the next big difference between these two phones. You've probably seen when you hold it side by side in the back, it's going to be the camera lens. As you see here, the regular 12 has 2 dual camera, your main camera and your wide angle camera. The Pro here has triple the camera, the main camera, the wide angle camera, and then the telephoto camera. And along with this black dot. What does that black dot mean? Well, that's actually the LiDAR piece, and this is where the difference comes in. The LiDAR allows you to actually take more in-depth photos and videos, but Doesn't mean the 12 still does an exceptional job between it when it comes to taking HDR photos, recording in 4K, and even portrait mode. All of that are possible between these two phones. The things that aren't possible between these two phones, well, at least one versus another, it's going to be, first thing is going to be your zoom. So the optical zoom on the regular 12 you get is 2 times versus almost 4 times on the 12 Pro. The other zoom is the digital zoom. You get 5 times the digital zoom on your iPhone 12, and then you get 10 times on the 12 Pro. So when you're zooming in and out, that digital zoom that you see, it's going to be different. And then the other difference between in terms of the camera is that on the portrait mode, both of the phones, as we mentioned, does do portrait mode photography. Is going to be night mode. By regular photo, both of the phones are able to take photos in night mode. But when it comes to photography mode, in night mode, the 12 Pro only can do that. The regular 12 does not have that capability of it. So the other thing between these two phones, between the camera, it's going to be, because of that LiDAR piece, it's going to be the Apple Pro RAW. So if we take a look at the camera again, you notice the subtle difference between these two phones. Right up top here, it's going to be a feature that you'll notice is Pro RAW. Here, you can turn that on to be able to take photos more in depth quality. So if you notice here, you'll notice a slight bit of depth to the photo quality on the 12 Pro. Other differences between these two phones, it's going to be coming down to is storage of these phones. The iPhone 12 here comes with the base storage of 64 gig, which is what the previous 11 lineup had. But the Pro model here actually comes at the 128 gig, which again, this is the first time Apple introduced the base model of 128 gig. And surprisingly, it maxes out at 512 gig, which a lot of smartphone in this day and era goes up to about a terabyte. So not sure why Apple couldn't do that, but the 13 lineup is rumored to have 1 terabyte of it. The regular 12 here, unfortunately, doesn't go up to 512 gig. It only goes up to 256 gig. So if you're a person that's going to be using up a lot of your phone storage and not using iCloud, you're going to be probably looking at the 12 Pro when it comes to that. And of course, the last difference, it's going to be the price point, which it sets these two phones apart. The 12 here, you're paying $799 for that 64 gig versus the Pro, which comes at that $999 price tag. $200 difference between these two phones. Like we mentioned, some of the differences of RAM that you're getting, that third camera, LiDAR, night mode, of course, going to be the thing. Of course, both of the phones have 5G, which Apple introduced for the very first time. So there you guys have it for these two phones. As you can notice, there's a lot of similarities and subtle differences. And was it worth buying one or the other? It depends on your budget. Of course, we say Pro model is always the better model to get, but the regular 12 doesn't actually go much, because it also gives you all the features of the Pro. But with the 13 lineup coming up, which we're going to do videos on, you guys are going to probably want to hold off right now if you're watching the video to see what the 13 lineup brings us. So hopefully this video is helpful. If this video is helpful, please make sure that that like and subscribe button. And if you guys